Hey all, here at osofdxreviews.com. You're watching our video review of the LG 840G. This is a Tracfone prepaid handset in the United States that costs $80 without a contract. You can pick it up in Best Buy as well as Target and on Amazon.com. The LG 840G has a very interesting, set of features because it isn't a fully fledged smartphone in terms of it doesn't run Android or anything like that, but it does have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and 3G on board. So it's a very feature-rich device. In addition, it features a 3.1-inch capacitive glass screen, which is a lot better than most resistive screens can offer. So it comes very close to being an Android variant, but in fact it is not, and it costs very little. The LG 840G, again on Tracfone, is great for people who are looking for an emergency phone, for people who don't talk too much, or again who wants to have a prepaid network so they aren't tied down to monthly fees, or perhaps for kids. It's a very low cost and efficient way to, again, make sure you don't talk too much on a network. So the 840G, as far as construction quality is concerned, feels very well put together, surprisingly. Even though it looks like the Android variants from a distance, it looks like an Optimus series device, it actually feels a lot better in terms of construction quality in those devices, which is a little bit ironic. The device has a pretty hefty weight to it, but at the same time it's made extremely well, and the back cover doesn't creak or anything when you're holding it, and holding it pretty tightly, so it feels like something that can survive a few drops and daily usage, which is always good in a day-to-day phone. The front of the device is dominated by this one-piece glass that covers the earpiece to the top to the 3.1-inch touchscreen, and on below we have three capacitive buttons that take you to the back, talk, and end keys. These buttons are backlit, so in darker environments you can still see them. The top of the device features a 3.5mm headphone jack and power and on and off cord button, and on the left-hand side we have a volume rocker that's pretty easy and tactile to press. The bottom features a micro USB port for charging and syncing information into the device's 2 GB of micro SD card memory. And again, behind the back cover, you have a 2 GB micro SD card pre-installed, so it's free. You can also expand that to 32 GB if you so do desire. On the back, we also have a 2.0 megapixel fixed focus camera without autofocus, without an LED flash or a vanity mirror, but it's there in case of emergencies. You can also record video with it. And the back cover is made of this nice black material. It's plastic, but it has this ridge to it, so it does feel a little bit better in your hand. It grips a little bit better. Overall, the construction quality is something that we found to be elegant and to be pretty refined. Again, in your hand, the device feels like a quality device that belies the $80 price tag. And as far as appearance is concerned, it also looks like something that's more expensive than it really is. The LG 840 actually runs on a light version of LG's S-Class 3D interface, which is their proprietary operating system. When you turn on the device first, you'll be greeted to a time clock, and in order to actually use the device, you slide the screen up to unlock it. Inside, you'll find 3 pages of customizable icons and widgets. The first one will take you to your widgets, the second one to your shortcuts, to your applications, and to your contacts. To access your application drawer for your full list of applications, you press on the right icon on the bottom, and pressing on that will allow you to open 3 pages of more applications. You can also download a few more applications from Tracfone, such as games, and they will also show up on the screen, so you can highlight and customize those to your will. Now, I say this is a light version of LG's S-Class 3D interface because it isn't as full-featured as those full S-Class devices such as the LG Arena or the LG BL40 Chocolate are. It doesn't offer that cube interface for a 3D experience, but at the same time it offers a very speedy transition between pages. We suspect the device has a 600 MHz processor behind the screen, even though LG hasn't been able to tell us or confirm those assumptions. So in terms of widgets, you have a few customizable widgets, and as with all LG devices running S-Class, you have the ability to actually scroll the screen vertically up and down to access more widgets and place more room to them. These widgets are, again, live, so when you press on them, you can adjust those corresponding features, such as alarm. Again, the screen itself is very sensitive. We found that the lightest touch could register, our motions. If anything, the slightly sluggishness of the device is probably due to its processor rather than the screen itself, which again is one of the most sensitive we've ever used, which is surely a great feature to have. To access more widgets, you press on the up arrow on the bottom there, and you have a row of more customizable options such as music player, the image viewer, and notes, as well as an alarm of a calendar and a dual clock for viewing clocks into 2 different cities and 2 different time zones. If we want to drag and drop the memo pad, we can just take it and directly take it into this page, drop it down below, and again we can extend this page up and lower. And one disappointing feature, though, of these widgets is that you can't actually add more widgets as you go along. So you're tied down to these built-in ones right out from the box. So if you want to install more, unfortunately, you can't do that from the App Store or anything like that. So likewise, again, the memo pad just displays your memo. Speaking of the memo, we can actually take you on a first tour of the actual QWERTY keyboard. The keyboard itself, again, it has a T9 style predictive text entry style, but if you want to use the QWERTY style, you actually have to press the top and says an input keyboard method and full keyboard. That's going to actually turn the screen onto its horizontal side and allow you to type more fluently with the regular QWERTY style layout. This means that the LG840G doesn't have an accelerometer, which is one of the biggest downfalls for me because I always wanted to rotate the screen. It also means that you can't have as much support for games like devices that want to use a gyroscope and accelerometer to twist the phone back and forth. And as a result, whenever you're typing, again, you have to manually select this, and it gets a little bit tedious, which also means that when you're web browsing, you have to manually select to switch the page orientation instead of expecting the phone to turn automatically. Again, you have to do that yourself. As far as the screen size is concerned, again, 3.1 inches is on the smaller side for typing as far as screen size is concerned. So typing is a little bit slower than you'd probably expect from other devices out there, but still the screen is very responsive, and it's something that's overall you will definitely get used to in time. So we didn't have too much to critique in that area and aspect. Another feature that we found a little bit surprising that the device didn't offer was actually pinch-to-zoom multi-touch support, because most capacitive touchscreen devices have that support these days, and really it's just a software thing rather than a hardware thing. Since LG already built in a capacitive screen, we thought that they really wouldn't have had to do too much in order to put in that pinch-to-zoom support, but unfortunately it's not on board, and you have to use manual zooming in and out by buttons on the bottom, which is a little bit more inconvenient because the screen is a little bit smaller, especially for web browsing and the such. To access your more options and notification, there is an application notification drawer on the top of the device. Pressing the drawer once will bring you options into the music player to turn the Bluetooth on and off, the alarm, the silent mode, and turning on and off Wi-Fi. As far as Wi-Fi is concerned, whenever you're using Wi-Fi, you won't be automatically using your minutes on Tracfone, which is very good. One more note to have about the screen itself is, although it's very bright, viewing angles aren't the best we've seen from LG. Of course, it is a very budget device. We don't expect too much, but if you're someone who likes to watch video a lot, just take a note that extreme viewing angles are going to have a little bit more of a darker or lighter tinge according to how you turn the screen. On the bottom device, you have 4 icons that are non-user customizable. They correspond to your actual dial pad, so you can actually press buttons and start calling people or create a message. The buttons are nice and large and easy to press. As far as call quality is concerned, we found that we were never really in a place where we had dropped calls. Even though call quality could be better, it was a little bit staticky. The microphone overall delivered pretty good sound, and the speakerphone on the back was also very, very loud. So you don't have any concerns with not hearing your callers and speakers. As well as calling through Bluetooth, it also worked without a hiccup. One area I was a little bit concerned of, though, was the fact that the battery life is on the shorter side, especially for a smaller phone. After about 2 days of standby, and that's without doing too much stuff, especially if you're connected to Wi-Fi, the battery is going to drain quite quickly. So you do have to have a charger ready. Thankfully, a car charger and a wall charger are both included in the box, which is also nice. On the bottom here, we also have a contacts list in addition to a messaging application, which uses the QWERTY keyboard, and your, again, menu application. As far as shortcuts, you can customize these, again, by pressing the customization button. You can add applications by selecting those from your settings and use that accordingly. The interface overall is kind of reminiscent also of Samsung's Wave operating system, again, because it isn't the full S-Class experience. Taking a look at other applications, we do have a game and apps drawer, which comes included with demo versions of Uno and Asphalt 4. Because the device doesn't have an accelerometer, racing is basically limited to you touching the screen in order to move the car, which is a little bit inconvenient. Both games work fine. You can also buy more games from Tracfone. There aren't any free ones to download, unfortunately. But still, the fact that you do have an app catalog is better than nothing at all. We also have a calendar, a camera, which I'm going to show you right now. The 2-megapixel camera is definitely not the best we've seen. Images aren't really focused, but they do have good color saturation, so they are good for quick shots, especially if you want to send them via Bluetooth or MMS text message. But again, if you're looking for something a little bit more advanced, you do have a lot more customization options, but just the sensor itself just isn't that great, unfortunately. And let's go out. and take a look at some other features. We have an alarm clock built into this device, a voice recorder, as you might expect, a video image, a viewer, and Bluetooth support, a few built-in applications including a calculator, a stopwatch, a unit converter, which is useful for students doing mathematics. Again, since this is such a low-cost device, it's probably going to be purchased for a lot of kids, so that's just a great feature that's built onto this device. You also have a tip calculator that works fairly well as well. So taking a look at the web browser, again, because I'm connected to Wi-Fi, it's not going to use up any of my minutes. Pressing on Wi-Fi once, it's going to search for something. I can press connect, and after that, it's not going to, again, eat up my minutes. A thing to remember about Tracfone users out there is that when you're web browsing, for every 1 minute that you're browsing via 3G, it's going to use 0.5 units, or 0.5 or 30 seconds of your time. So whenever you're in Wi-Fi, it actually exempts that cost. One thing that's good about this phone, one thing that's negative about this phone is it doesn't have UMC support. So unlike some T-Mobile devices out there, you can't call using Wi-Fi. You can only web browse using Wi-Fi. So launching into the web browser, this is a full HTML web browser, which is pretty decent, but I will say that it does load things in a mobile site version most of the times, and optimization isn't as good as you want it to be. So speeds are fairly decent, and again, because it does have a capacitive screen and kinetic scrolling, most things worked fairly well as well. But if you plan on doing blazing speeds, you'll find that pages sometimes will load with checkerboard patterns instead of directly or instantaneously loading, because it doesn't have the fastest processor. So if I wanted to load something, for example, it's going to automatically rotate the screen, and I can go to google.com. We do like how the QWERTY keyboard automatically orientates itself to have features like www and .com, unlike some phones that have to let you input that part. So if I want to go to google.com, you'll see that basic pages do load pretty easily, and they are pretty fast over, again, Wi-Fi connection, and you don't have any issues with that. You can also view the classic version if you so do desire, and you can also go to other pages like New York Times, which are a little bit more complicated, and they're going to take a little bit longer. But you can see that it does work pretty well. It's better than nothing, especially, and even though it isn't the best web browser out there for a basic phone, which isn't even billed as a real smartphone, we found that it was still pretty impressive. Certainly, you can see that LG is trying to blur the lines between a multimedia handset and a smartphone, because this one comes very, very close to being a full-fledged smartphone, even though it's being, again, billed as just a regular handset. But we'll see that this device will load, and then we can slide and navigate back and forth. Again, more complex pages like New York Times will take a little bit longer, but you do have that full image support. And again, you see that things are a little bit more sluggish because, again, the page is a lot more complex. There's a little bit of a checkerboard pattern below here. You can see that. But again, it's nice to still be able to check weather, to do quick updates over the web, check out news articles, perhaps watch YouTube videos. Speaking of, YouTube videos work directly in the browser, which is quite impressive. We didn't expect it to work, but it does work. Unfortunately, YouTube is optimized in a pretty strange manner. When I say about this, videos actually are optimized on a very small portion of the screen. So when you're watching images, you're going to have to be noticing that it's not going to expand to the full screen resolution or the full screen size. It doesn't take advantage of that. So you're limited to a small scope of the screen, which is not as idealistic as perhaps it could have been. For example, we click on a video. I'm going to show a few seconds of it, and if I wanted to watch this video, I'm going to press watch. Again, the screen is fairly sensitive, and it's going to connect, and when you're actually going to watch the video, it does load pretty fast, but again, it displays in a very small portion of the screen instead of the whole portion. Thankfully, audio quality is pretty good. It's definitely just not HD quality as you may have expected from the web browser. So overall, the LG 40G is a very solidly built device. It's a very solidly performing device, especially if you're looking for something maybe as your first entry device into the smartphone world, or if you just want something basic to give to your kids on Tracfone with a smartphone-esque quality to it. Especially if you're looking for Wi-Fi, this is a great route to go. The LG 40G has a very solid LG Lite system of S-Class 3D built into the device. Just don't expect anything too fancy like a extravagant again web browser or extravagant screen. I think most people will be satisfied with this device, especially because it has a lot of features for the price that you typically won't get for that price. Speaking of wallpapers, you can actually choose from multiple different images, which we found to be pretty interesting. For example, it comes loaded with different images that you can select from. Has quite a lot of very good wallpapers, which is also nice. And for example, this, if we want to set our new wallpaper to this, We can set that and then go home, and you can select from different new wallpapers that take advantage of the bright and pretty good screen overall. So again, the LG A40G is a pretty good device, especially for Tracfone users out there. If you're planning on upgrading, I'd say it's a great option to select from. Again, if you are interested in multimedia features, just know that's not the best messaging phone out there, or doesn't have the quickest speeds, but it's still, again, very solid, very portable, and very comfortable to hold and use every day. Thanks for watching here at osmvdxreviews.com. It's been our full video review of the LG A40G for Tracfone service.